just off the beaten path there. I like that. I like this arm tat. I like the arm tat.
We all do that when we turn 18. If you grew up in the 90s, this is what you do.
I like the arm tat. Yeah. The arm tat should be part of the story.
Mm-hmm. It's not barbed wire.
We should actually talk about what life was like from 16 on.
Ooh, 16 on. Oh, my life was
you have
amazing.
Lots of stories.
16, 17, 18. I think college changes everything.
Really?
Still a lot of fun, though.
Go on.
People change.
Do what? Go on.
Experimental things.
Tell me more. I mean, it's a trust tree. We're in a safe tree.
I was a good kid when I was in high school. I like to have fun hanging out with my buddies. That's about it. Go to college like everyone does.
So Jamie went to Cardinal Stritch, which was far away.
No one even knows that.
It was a far away school for baseball, right?
It was in Milwaukee. Milwaukee.
And can we say you missed your mom?
No.
He missed his mom. And what happened? Were you there for one semester?
God, I don't even think it was that long. Yeah, it was. It was a semester. I went there for spring semester to a private Catholic school.
So you're freshman first semester?
Second semester.
So where were you first semester?
I went to Century.
Community college.
Yeah, I was on quarters, and then I went to semesters. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, wait. I want to back this up because I don't know this. So you were in high school. I'm a high schooler. And you did not apply to colleges, or you did?
No, I did not. I was asked not to.
By who?
My parents.
Why?
Because I didn't try hard enough educationally wise in high school.
So what did you say? You're like, fine, I'll stay back?
Well, yeah.
And I want to add, I think that going to community college is phenomenal. I will encourage that for learn a trade. So I think that's great. But so you went and then did you get drafted? Or like, how did you learn about Stritch? This is so different than my life. That's why I'm actually inquiring about this.
So baseball is weird. Like when you play baseball in college, you have to be really good your junior year.
Okay.
Because by the time you're a senior and you're playing in the spring season, like if some college likes you, they already have their whole, like it's too late.
So were you really good your junior year?
No, I was just average, and I was really good my senior year.
And they picked you up your senior year?
Yes, but it was kind of already too late, so it was kind of a late cycle, and just kind of made it work. So that's why I went to Cardinal Stritch. So smaller schools.
And did you pitch?
I did. Pitch.
And why did you only stay a semester?
Because I didn't like it.
What do you like? I'm so curious. Like, what
I was away from home. I went to a small private Catholic school.
So Jamie's the most social person I've ever met in my entire life. That's fair to say, right? Like you are like, he is like social. I could like live in a dark cave for 100 days. Would you agree with that? I could. Like I could do it. Like I'd be like, fine, you want to go 120? And like you are so social. Like you just.
Yes,
like,
I'm more social than you. Yes.
Yeah, like you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just first time actually being away from home too, I suppose. Maybe that played into it. I'm sure it did. Well, then I came home. I wasn't planning on leaving. And I came home and I played, in Minnesota, you play amateur baseball, which is like, you don't even have to be like a college player. It's like town ball. But
were you home like spring break?
No, in the summer.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And I came back and I played for a team. A lot of Woodbury kids where I grew up, and then a lot of kids from all over the eastern metro, the Twin Cities. And I kicked butt.
Pitching?
Yeah. I did really well. So one of the guys that played for UMD was a pitcher there.
Which is University of Minnesota Duluth, which is where we met. We met there.
Brent Girton.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, he was cute.
Yeah. You have no idea who he is.
Am I thinking of the same guy?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
This is Gertie. He's a different guy.
I'm thinking of the older guy. Pitcher, catcher.
Oh, that you met with Gangle. That's No.
Whatever. That's a side discussion.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So then, another guy named Matt, and they played at UMD, and they said you should come play for us. So, I walked on.
Really?
Yeah, I walked on.
Scandalous.
So they had a big fall ball tryout, and I had a good tryout, and I think I started as a reliever there, and then I ended the season as a starter for the next 3 seasons.
So how many years did you play?
I played for 4 in college.
And why didn't you go on? Like, why didn't you play in the MLB?
There's a big gap there. A little gap in talent. Yeah. Didn't happen.
Sawyer, our son, tells people it's because Grandpa says you weren't tall enough.
Yeah.
He literally tells people, he's like, my dad would have been in the MLB, but he wasn't tall enough.
There's a lot of truth to that. There's no guarantees that would have, if I was 6'3", I would have.
So I feel like it's being funny about height. So Sawyer has some appointments that I take him to, and I brought him this week, and he was talking to the receptionist, and it always goes to height. I have no idea why. And he was like, my Uncle Jason's really tall. He's 6'10".
Jason's 2 inches taller.
And I was like, buddy, I don't think Uncle Jason's that tall. And he's like, he's way taller than Dad. It was so funny.
Yeah. He's got a faster car.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. Okay, so that was a really long digress of Jamie's
I don't know what that was.
baseball.
Was that my intro?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still trying to find a team.
If anyone is there a Kevin Costner movie about that? Or is anyone looking for a baseball pitcher, middle aged?
No, it's not Kevin Costner.
The other.
It's not The Natural. What is that movie?
Disney movie.
No, it's not.
No, it's on Disney. It's on Disney. I watched it with Grandpa.
Who's it with?
He puts his bait.
Dennis
Quaid.
And he brings his kids to the tryout. He starts throwing. He made a bet with his baseball team.
That's so you.
And then if they
What's that
won this many
called?
games, he would try out.
Dennis Quaid. Come on, guys. Disney
Yeah,
movie.
I forget the name.
Very good though.
Well, anyways, yeah. But I actually interviewed the coach. This is funny. 11U traveling baseball? An interview for
The
him.
rookie, Ryan Lefevers.
Oh yeah, Ryan's always coming in. So yeah.
Great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
So
Everyone knows it.
So Katie will be really somber if I get this volunteer
Of course
job
you're
and
gonna
interview
get
for
it.
it.
Of course you're gonna get it. There's a lack of coaching staff.
There actually isn't.
Oh really?
Yes, there's multiple candidates. Multiple.
I may have sent
Real
an
competitive.
email about you and your questionable behavior.
I thought my presence was known when I walked in the room. I didn't know that I needed that.
So what he's referencing is, and this is a very real thing when you have 4 kids, one with a disability. If I want Jamie to coach, Jamie's a phenomenal coach. She's a phenomenal dad. But if he coaches Sawyer, I can never go. It's true, right? Unless we have care, but I can never go. Say yes, Kate. That's true.
Should be fine.
So I miss. There was one season.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah.
I miss.
And we have to figure that out. But I've thought it all through.
Okay, tell me more.
We're start recruiting people.
But
And Lauren, you need to come back.
someone said, did you know Stritch was closed?
The baseball program is, I guarantee you that.
Oh, really?
They didn't have a baseball field.
I went to a super small school, didn't have a football team. Yeah. Okay.
When I went there, not to date me,
Okay.
but I went there, and that would have been
78.
year 97. So spring of 98, they had single dorms, smoking dorms. Spring of 98, there's single smoking dorms.
See what's funny about that? So I went to a small school. I went in 01. And right before I got there, they closed the bar down. There apparently was a bar in the dorms right before I went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
The coolest thing about that, I had a roommate that was from England, and so Cardinal Church University was not.
the pen clicking. It's a nervous.
Spring in 98. Yes, so they had Cardinal Church University was not an NCAA sanctioned school. It was NAIA, so they're governed by different rules. So like scholarships were governed different. Everything was different. Like in Minnesota, we have a lot of Division III NCAA schools, and they're private, they're expensive. Whereas in this area, in Milwaukee and Chicago, is where the whole conference was. They were Division II NAIA, and they could, whatever. They could have scholarships. So,
what were you saying? You saying you couldn't have scholarships for your school?
No,
well,
I
you
could.
Did.
I could.
You
Yeah,
did.
I could. Yeah.
So did you have scholarship at UMD too?
My scholarship, it was like they paid for my books.
So that's like a really big deal because like I was like from a blue collar family and like.
But there was no money in baseball and small.
I'm sure there still isn't, but what I'm saying is like I went to a super small school, very low tuition, and it was a hardship on my family. Like I remember like sitting with my mom and dad and then being like, "You have to pay for this yourself." I was just saying that like college is hard. I don't know. It's a hardship on families. We've talked a lot about Cooper will not be going to college. He will have his own path. Sawyer, and we've talked about like we're totally cool with learning a trade. Like I think that's the best way to go these days. Don't you? We both have bachelor's degrees. Who cares about a damn bachelor's degree?
I really feel like when I was brought up, like, because it's generational, right?
Right.
Like, when I grew up, it was like, you don't have, if you're not in college, you're nobody. And then that pushed onto me.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, well, there's a million other jobs.
There's a million other great jobs.
You can make a lot of money.
Yeah. I think
it's kind of shifted a little bit.
So I have always gently, Sawyer's 10 million years, but like I think he'd be like the most amazing special ed teacher. I just think Sawyer has this kindness in his heart. But like, if I could do it all over again, I'd be a nurse. I think a nurse is like the smartest profession anyone could be. I have a double major in business management and marketing, and what am I? I wrote a book. I don't know. I'm like nothing. Like you, what was your degree in?
Marketing and communications minor.
Yeah, and you're an insurance agent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just funny. Like I feel like when we went to school, it was like you just had to have the piece of paper, right? Like you had to like check the box.
Mm-hmm. I think for big corporate America, you got MBAs and PhDs.
Well, I'm sure many of you have heard of 3M. So we live in a suburb of St. Paul, Minneapolis. We live in Woodbury, and 3M is a huge employer here. It's a top-notch employer, right? Back when I was applying, I applied to 3M probably 50 times, and they would not even give me an interview because I didn't have a master's. I will never forget that.
Yeah.
They would not even interview me because I didn't have a master's.
I think 3M was like the only major company on the east side of the metropolitan. Like it was like, well, I also think it was like they hired through like who you know.
Oh, I have like hard
for like entry level jobs.
I know, but like I was good in marketing. I did marketing for PBS and it was like they would not even
Those
give me
nonprofits are killing it, marketing.
Oh.
Taking all that money from everyone else
for free. Yeah. So let's talk about marriage. Let's tell about our marriage story, Jamie. Do you want to tell about our marriage story?
Which one?
So, how old were we when we met? Tell about when we met. So, where did you work?
Wells Fargo.
Jamie was a banker. You wore a suit. Mostly.
I didn't wear a jacket ever.
Well, misremembering. And I was an intern, and I took an internship at Wells Fargo because I graduated from college, and I had.
To be honest, because she got it.
No, that's not true. I graduated from college. I had a great job at Old Chicago. I made $35,000 at Old Chicago waitressing. I mean, that's great money. Maybe not today, but it was then. While
you were in school.
Yeah, but I knew I needed a job, and I couldn't find one, nothing that I wanted. So I searched. I can still remember like sitting in like my college like library, like Googling paid internships near me.
There were none.
Wells Fargo was the only one. and it paid like $12.
I did mine at Walmart.
It was like $12 an hour. I'm like, I applied and I got it like immediately. And
You did an interview with stuff, didn't you?
I did. And Scooter Bratt. Remember Scooter Bratt?
I do.
And I don't even know if I learned much. But I met my husband. I got 4 kids out of the deal. But so I was in a very serious relationship with the love of my life. Oh my god.
Peepster.
Oh gosh.
What do you do every day?
Smoke pot and deliver pizza. It didn't work out. It did not work out. And then all of a sudden here's this guy who is not nice to me. Do you feel like you were nice to me?
Me in my Kohl's uniform.
He was not nice to me. He thought I took long lunch breaks.
I was often called the lunch Nazi.
Yeah. And so back then in Wells Fargo days, Ryan is going to love this. In the beginning of Wells Fargo days, there was a period where you had corporate cards. Let's get real. And you didn't pay for anything.
Called the P card.
Am I like
Wells Fargo days?
Like blowing the lid off of like the...
Oh no, Wells Fargo's way more trouble than us.
So like I didn't pay for lunch for like 3 months, and like we would drink on lunch breaks.
Oh yeah.
And I would come back, and there was someone sitting there like...
Where are you?
And then, okay, this is in my book.
Did you ever go to lunch with girls?
No. Okay, so then, a bunch of I have a PR card in healthcare. Okay, so then a bunch of us met at the Sunset because there was a Wells Fargo softball.
We had a softball team. Yeah.
So I went.
We got our own
Jamie
jersey.
the lunch police. There, thank you.
Yeah,
Sarah.
I was that
He
guy.
was the lunch police. He was such a jerk. So you know what I would do? I would
because you got to watch out for people who always drag on the lunch break.
So I would put things in his cube. So here's the best part of the story. I was the entrance of Wells Fargo. So
This was before I was a manager.
So I got the people come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I want a notary." So I'd be like,
Jamie.
"I have the right guy for you," and it was this guy. I remember one time I put a spoiled.
So let's put a scale on here.
I put a spoiled gallon of milk under his desk.
Yeah.
You remember when I put that glamour shot behind your head? It was like some weird guy.
Real maturity there. So what she's saying is like if somebody walked in and needed something and somebody wanted to do like, because we were like super unethical salespeople at this point in Wells Fargo life.
Dirty.
So like, if they needed a checking account or a loan, she'd send it to somebody else.
That's good.
Yeah.
You want to give it to people you like.
Send me.
If you buy me a shot, I will give you a checking account.
Yeah. No, nothing like that. Wink, wink. But if you need a notary, here's Jamie. She made my life 3 months out. I'm like, literally, I could have been like the top guy.
Every day
I was
he was
like, "Nyeh." And then I became the lunch Nazi. Yeah.
Okay, so then there was a softball game. This is in my book. And come on, Bridget. What do I talk about in my book? Someone showed up. And what were they wearing? What were they wearing? Come on.
What baseball players wear?
What do baseball players wear that is just makes women fall to their knees? White baseball pants and a bucket of beer.
Nice add up.
White pants. Carrie Kramer.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie and Liz. So
The pants.
then we talked. And you were not the worst human. You weren't the worst
I think
human.
we drank a little bit, made out, and we talked.
I would never. I'm a lady.
Oh, for sure we did.
We did not do any heavy petting until we were engaged. But
Pretty sure we made out.
So, do you want to tell our engagement story?
I don't remember that.
I was at an Avon party. Oh my god, it's like Duluth, Minnesota. It's like going back in time.
Avon
I was at
party?
an Avon party with my LSS friends.
And you got engaged there? Just talking about.
I didn't get engaged. Do you know what Avon?
No.
Do you know what Avon is?
No.
I was at, what was that country club in Duluth?
The Northland Country Club.
It was there.
The Northland
It
Country
was
Club.
there at an Avon party.
Avon.
Avon. It's like makeup.
Aaron. Like that.
Avon Skin So Soft. I was getting like a facial. And I came home and remember? Tell the story.
Well, I don't remember that well.
Oh my god.
You just tell it.
There were like a million candles.
Oh, yes, candles, flower petals, take a nice little path.
Mm-hmm. What's the name of the puppy?
Not a puppy. What was it?
There was like a stuffed dog.
Yeah. What was the end game there?
This.
15, 16, 17 years ago?
15 years of this.
Yeah, I did. I made a nice little path through the house, candles. And then I asked you to marry me. And what was the puppy? The significance of the puppy is the puppy of the ring.
The puppy of the ring?
The puppy of the ring. And I gave it to you.
I thought it was like puppy love or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And then the next funny story that I have to tell you. So I grew up Catholic, and Jamie was an exorcised from the church.
No, it was not that.
What was the story?
I was denied my right.
Okay. Tell a story.
Well, so we had...
What were you, Methodist?
Yeah, at the time we were Methodist, yeah. And there was a, you go through your, what is it called? Oh, not fucking. Real
Confirmation.
Christian. Yeah, confirmation.
Yeah.
So we did all our classes with all the people, and the one thing you had to do is you were required to leave and go on this trip to XYZ states, and my sister had done it 2 years ago, and it made her real uncomfortable because they were in like a real rural, poor part of the...
Okay, yep.
Yep, and she came back and it was a bad experience. And my parents felt that they didn't feel I should experience the same thing. So they sent me to all the classes and...
A mission trip.
And the alternative we did, instead of going on the mission trip, there was like 4 families, and they were gone on the mission trip. We volunteered at a Boys and Girls Club for the time they were gone.
Not good enough.
Long story short, the pastor came back and said that's not good enough, so we will not accommodate your needs.
Get out of church. So...
What is it called, though? What is the word I'm thinking of when you graduate? It's
confirmation.
Yeah. So they wouldn't confirm us. There was like 4 or 5 of us out of 20 that put our foot down about this because my sister was like freaked out about it.
Well, you probably should have went.
No, there was like incidents that were like not good.
Well, so that's true. That's a bigger issue than just the. That's like okay, whatever. But yes, I completely agree with you. It's a bigger issue. But so here's the cute part of the story. So we lived in this super small. What was the population of Two Harbors? So when Jamie and I met, we moved to
3,500 people.
We live in the smallest town. So the start of our story was in Two Harbors, Minnesota. It's by a harbor named Harbor. And we, Teresa, we have a friend that's in the seniors league. Jamie would be perfect for it. Yeah. He was recently confused for being 55. So, I
hate T-Mobile.
Yeah, we lived in northern Minnesota, and it was time to get married. We got engaged or whatever, and so at the time, I grew up very Catholic. I was very Catholic, and you were...
What?
No, until I was 18, I was very Catholic. I don't know what you're saying. Like,
I never knew you as very Catholic.
I practiced the very Catholic.
Oh, maybe
the very Catholic life. And so I called my mom, and I'm like, I'm engaged. And she's like, are you going to get married Catholic? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And like,
is that a big concern right now?
Like, you didn't care, right?
No.
Okay, so this is like my favorite story. So I called the Catholic priest in Two Harbors, Minnesota, and he was 100% Finnish. So like super Finnish accent. And I was like, hi, like my name is Kate Turman. I'm like, my husband or my fiance and I just got engaged. We want to get married Catholic. I'm like, but he's not Catholic. Is it okay if we get married Catholic? You know the story? Mm-hmm. And he's like, have you talked to God yet? And like, it was like super thick accent. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And he's like, have you talked to God yet? And like, I could not. And finally he like screamed at me. He's like, have you asked God if you can get married Catholic? And I was like, I have to go. And I like hung up because I was so nervous. It made me so anxious. So we ended up getting married Lutheran. And it was a wonderful experience.
In a Lutheran church.
In a Lutheran church. Oh. Yeah. And we actually had a female marry us. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. But it's kind of funny. Like, we probably would have been married Catholic if they would have been, like, more inviting. But it was kind of closed off. Like, it was very...
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it's funny about towns in northern Minnesota that size. They don't have, like, 2 churches. They have, like, 9 or 10.
For 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
so it's like, well,
everyone,
if you're not committed.
Jody Pearson, I remember that priest. But it was like,
I remember we went there.
It made me so uncomfortable.
We went there a few times. I remember there.
Yeah, that were like...
It was like on 2nd or 3rd.
So many rules, so many rules. So then, we ended up getting married. We had like the nicest experience. We got married like in this like tiny, beautiful church. It rained our whole wedding day.
Yeah, so I knew the priest from Bethlehem Lutheran.
Was it the guy?
Yes.
So if you've read our book, there's a story in there that was like changed our whole life. So does anyone remember marriage classes? That's a thing. Like we had to go to marriage class. It was required. What was that pastor's name? Oh.
Yeah, because he went to Hermantown.
Oh, I feel terrible.
We left with him.
Yeah. So
it was his wife that married us.
Yes. So we ended up, you had to go to marriage class, and we went. And this is a true story. So it was like, was it 2 weekends, like 8-hour days?
Yeah,
it was a
no.
lot. No, that's an exaggeration, but it was a lot. And like, we were so like, almost like arrogant. Because like, we were so in love, and like, we were so young, and like, they were talking about like real problems, like gambling and alcoholism, infidelity, like all these like real.
Well, who was
the priest? Like, there was scenarios, and we were like, "There's no way." Like we are like so in love, like you know.
Well, then he asked the question.
So then no, this is a true story. The final question was, "What would you do if you had a special needs child?" And like I remember, it never even crossed our mind. We were like, we were like, time to go. We'd love that child more than anyone in the whole entire world. It was like very simple, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't emphasize like what a real question it was. It was it should have been like a real topic.
We were young.
We were so young. So we left, and our wedding day, like, what is your number one memory from our wedding day? Mine was that my friend Kim, we had a limo, it rained the whole day, and my friend Kim put like buckets of fried chicken in the limo. Remember that?
No.
So when all the wedding party got in, they ate fried chicken?
Oh.
What is your memory?
I hit a skunk on the way to the church from hunting.
Road hunting. Special memories.
Well, I didn't shoot it, it's running over.
Do you remember our best man's speech?
It's very brief. What did he say?
I don't remember. It was terrible. Our party...
Jeffy, I love him.
Our party
to this day
was so wild that like the next morning, the people cleaning up the reception hall were like, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, because you always have to come back the next day and find out shit, right?
Yeah. And then I will fully admit that when so the next day everyone left, like our whole family and friends left, and like we went home, and our house was like full of wedding gifts and like full of everything, and I was so sad. Do you remember that? I was like lost after my wedding. I'm sure other people can relate to this. Other women, not men. I was like
an emotional
lost.
There,
I was like, what's next? I'm stuck with this guy.
Oh. It was in September. It was Sunday. It was football.
It was
football.
It was 15 years ago today.
Football.
And no kids. You could nap.
Yeah. What a dream.
Yeah.
Just buy that house. I should just be on a nap house.
Do you have any advice for people? 15 years once removed into marriage?
Oh, so much.
I have advice.
It goes so deep.
Do you know what my advice is?
What?
Be nice to each other.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds so simple. We can be so mean to each other.
We can. But it's not because we don't like each other. It's because of outside influences like our 4 children and a dog.
Who's the worst?
Tank by 10.
Jamie hates the dog. We just need to find a farm. Let's get a nice farm.
I don't even know where he is. He's in the kennel.
He's under here. Oh, okay. He's afraid of you. He pees when he sees Jamie.
I'm a yeller.
You are a yeller. No,
Be kind.
I think being nice to each other is
patience.
It is the most simplest
Patience
thing.
isn't something you learn though.
You're mean. I'm not gonna lie to that, but like you need. I think what happens, and I'm gonna speak like totally openly and honestly. Like I think what happens in marriage is it becomes like a punching bag type thing, and if you kept it as this is someone I love and we're doing this together, it'd be a totally different story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But like
the problem is,
it becomes like me against you. But if we were a united front against these awful children and this dog,
it never can be.
But if they're awful, if it was us against them, I'm being funny. But you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's too many. Oh, I was just thinking right when you're talking. So there's, we have 4 kids. And I'm going to put take in this because it's the heart of my frustration right now. Like, there's so many things that I can be frustrated about. And there's only one thing that I can.
He's so mean to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not saying I'm mean to you. You're my punching bag.
I think you just finally admitted it after 15 years. Okay. So let's talk about this morning. So let's just take you through this morning before we pop off. So this morning at 3:30, there was some crying. And it was Winnie. She started crying. So we got her some milk. I got her some milk. And then at 4 a.m., she came into our bed, which she really does. That's true. She really does that. It's only like last chance.
Complete bullshit.
Okay. So at 4 a.m., I brought her in bed. And she's like sitting up and she's like...
She wants to hang out.
She's like, Dad, why are you rolling over? She's so cute. Oh my God, Winnie's a cute.
Like, do you want to go on the swing set, dear?
Okay, so then 10 minutes later, a small, tiny human dressed as Spider-Man, no lie, is standing next to the side of the bed, and he's like, Mama, I peed the bed. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. Let's take your clothes off. So I have to get up and make him a bed on our chair.
Yep, come over here.
And Winnie is like, horses and babies, and you are my sunshine. I love.
Is it dead?
So I'm like holding my breath because someone's going to
you have to go to the phone. Plug it in.
explode. I think we slept till 6. Did we sleep?
No, there was no. Oh. The dog started barking before 6. That's why I got
okay. So then this is our morning of our anniversary. So then Jamie comes down, and Tank loves me more than anyone. So how many times did he run upstairs?
So I got him out of his kennel and I opened the door to walk out to the bathroom, and the idiot runs upstairs.
And he's like nose to nose, right?
I'm like, no, you have to pee. You've been in here since 11 o'clock.
But he loves me. Oh, he's under here. I can hear him. Where is Tank? Is he under here? So,
Harvard, come here, please.
by the time that I came downstairs, no joke, Jamie had cursed our life, our children, our family, each child, the dog. And so I said to him, and I'm like, I'm like, it's really hard, like, when you're, like, so angry all the time.
That's crap.
Okay. And like maybe you could like work on turning some of those negatives to positive.
Sure. So let's talk about this morning.
So it was a beautiful morning.
It was cold as hell.
Sunshiny.
I couldn't even. So usually,
It's a
I'm gonna be
beautiful
honest.
fall day.
I wake up the morning.
There are leaves everywhere.
I couldn't even just walk. Do you know why I didn't bring the dog outside? Because it was 40 degrees outside. When's the last time you walked outside and it's 40 degrees in your underwear? Like, I'm getting out of bed. It's dark out. It's pitch black. So I tried to get the dog outside. Didn't happen. So I was upset.
Set the pen down. I just think that maybe if we like embraced some like love, like a more of like an affectionate.
At 5 o'clock in the morning?
So it was 6. It was 6. It was a full. It was
At this point, yeah. It's 6. Still dark, though. I fell asleep a little bit too much. Bottom line is, if we didn't have so much going on, we wouldn't have so many problems.
So one of the downfalls of our marriage is that Jamie holds things over me.
What?
Like having a dog and a 4th baby. She's 2.5, and there at least once a week he says, "You wanted her."
And like today, they compounded on each other. So not like one of them was bad, but 2 of them were bad.
I think Winnie's perfect. I love her.
Good. You guys can get up at 4 o'clock every day. You guys can make mud pies and cakes, talk about how good the day is. And then what's going to happen? Winnie's going to go back to bed for 3 hours. You'll be up with the dog the rest of the day.
I think you can sleep when you're dead.
The funny part about this is this woman cannot deal with no sleep. And I have gone, if we had to count for 15 years of who slept more, I would be in the thousands and thousands of hours at her because of kids.
Oh, kids are the worst. How many kids would you have? We could redo.
2.
Which 2?
I don't pick. I always envision my life having 2 kids.
What 2?
Like
a different 2?
No, it's just always what I thought it would be.
Well, I'm just saying. Now that we know,
Wow.
would it be
you only
these
had to
2?
choose between my kids?
I don't know.
Oh, I would never
Or
do
would it be a different 2? Would we start fresh? Would you have a different
that.
wife?
Oh my God, start over?
Would you?
Do it over.
Would you have a different? Dad, if I died today, would you get remarried and have 2 more?
Who's saying no?
Jamie hates. He would never get remarried. Would you? If I died today, would you get remarried?
Oh God, no.
I would. I envision an older man.
I'm fucking 45.
Like 60.
60.
Established.
Rich. Established.
Oh, yes.
Horrible, yeah. Wealthy. Play your cards right.
But if I died today, who would take care of your kids?
Me.
That's a load of baloney. You don't even like him.
But I'm capable. More than capable.
You are more than capable.
I call you on the carpet all day long.
Who would do Winnie's hair?
Well, I'd have to hire somebody to help me. Just show me how to do it.
Yeah.
Goddamn Winnie's hair.
These are pink Solo cups. They're from Little Rebels. They're lovely. Okay, should we wrap it up? It's 9:40. I want to watch some Grey's Anatomy.
Tomorrow night, Vikings, Eagles. Hopefully we'll cover the spread. 7 points.
I'm a diehard Packers fan. They won the first game. Diehard Vikings fan. Lost the first game. Never won a Super Bowl.
Sorry about you Jets fans.
Are there Jets fans though? Are there really Jets fans?
New York people.
But I've never actually met a Jets fan. Have you?
No.
Maybe it's fake. Ryan said, "What is the secret to a happy marriage?" I think it's kindness
Well, yes,
and grace.
for sure, conversation.
and grace.
And always coming back to the table. Katie and I argue all the time. We do. I mean,
We do.
not all the
We're
time.
not.
But we
perfect.
never, not for long. Like, we get pissed off and leave and come back. We always come back to the table.
Yeah. But I think, like, I actually had a thought tonight. So together we picked up Sawyer from baseball practice tonight, and he had this like 10-minute period where we talked to parents, and he was like playing. It was like this like adorable, like he was having so much fun, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how like often when I'm in the trenches, I'm like, hurry up and get home. Like, where are you, right?
Well, that's like what I do every time, and you're always begging me to get home.
So I'm giving grace right now.
Begging on me.
Okay, go to hell. But like I'm just like saying, like it's like it was like a 10-minute period where it was like that was probably a nice memory for him, and it's like I should probably give more grace. I can admit that.
It's very self-conscious of you.
But marriage is hard.
Why she is saying that is because if I go pick up Sawyer and I'm sitting there having a 10-minute conversation with the dads, picking up the kids, and she's calling me and texting me to get my ass home.
That's a little baloney.
No, and she's feeling guilty about this now. And she's like, oh, that was nice, because she had somebody to talk to tonight, because we were both there. But that's how it goes. Like, you go pick up your kid from practice.
I think life is hard, and I want to do better.
Next year's going to be tough. I'm going to be the coach.
I don't want you to be the coach. I'm going to send an email that gets you thrown off the team. Okay. He's like, what?
To who?
Okay.
Oh, you can send it. Yeah, you can send it to the. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. We are the picture of a perfect marriage.
Hardly.
No, but just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Goodbye. I can hear kids so loud upstairs.
No,
okay, we have to put kids to bed. Goodbye.